we can deliver to Major League Baseball its first Indian ball player. That's 1 billion new fans. What do 1 billion new fans need? 1 billion hats, 1 billion t-shirts.
And you want to set this up like it's a talent contest.
Exactly. That will ensure maximum exposure of talent to press. See, once we go over there and find these guys, we bring them back here, we train them in LA, then we get them signed with a professional franchise.
What's your timeline?
2 years.
Can you do it in one?
Sure.
And that's a clip from $1 Million Arm. I'm delighted to say I've been joined by its star, Jon Hamm. Jon, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you.
We're speaking in a hotel where we just should acknowledge now.
Yes.
There's a lot of drilling going on.
There is a drilling happening that we are out. It's out of our control, but I just want to assure everyone that it's not either one of us farting.
Oh, it's not, or your personal construction team?
No, that's not. I generally travel with a construction team, but I have not on this particular trip.
Okay, so Million Dollar Arm is a very ear and eye-catching title. Can you just explain why $1 million and whose arm are we talking about?
It's $1 million is a good number. You know, who doesn't want $1 million? So that was the catchy title that my character J.B. Bernstein came up with for the sort of reality format program that he chose to barnstorm around India in search of what he hoped to find were cricket players that he could then repurpose as baseball pitchers. That was the seed of the idea. What he ended up finding was a javelin thrower and a field hockey player that he ended up turning into two baseball prospects in an incredible story that is in fact 100% true.
Well, I was going to say, because it says at the beginning of the movie, based on a true story, and sometimes that means, well, there's a little bit that's true, and sometimes it means all of it is true. So from what you're saying, this is entirely true.
This is the latter case. Yes, indeed. It is 100% true. And in fact, not only the sort of the brass tacks of the story of turning these boys into baseball players is true, which is remarkable in and of itself. It's as if I gave you a golf club and said, okay, in a year you're going to play in the Masters. You would go, well, no, that's not going to happen. But this, in fact, happened to these boys. But what also happened was this sort of profound life change that JB went through, and he ended up meeting who would turn out to be his wife and the mother of his children, and he kind of had this profound awakening and realized that not only were these boys incredibly gifted athletes and sort of in many ways this sort of like new career path for him, but they also became a bit of a surrogate family, and that was a profound shift in his life, in his emotional life, which was what I responded to, and I hope people respond to in the film.
And I was unaware of this story. Is this a well-known story in the States?
No, not at all. I'm a massive baseball fan. I am as American. I'm from the Midwest. I am as American as
Cardinals man.
Cardinals man, a baseball fan. I had never heard of this story, and I when I read the script, I thought the script was great, and I looked back on the title page, and I said, as you said, I was like, based on a true story. How have I never heard of this? And
so, how long ago is it?
2006. So 8 years ago.
And it's a complete secret. Wow! So this is some discovery, really. This story.
It was, yeah. For me, it was certainly a pleasant surprise.
Now, there's a moment which you've alluded to. There's a moment very early on in the movie where audiences in this country will go, "Oh, hang on, this is not what we're expecting." Where you're watching the TV, and first of all, you watch some cricket. And you've already mentioned cricket. Now there's very little cricket in American movies, and then you switch to Britain's Got Talent. So just explain the juxtaposition of those two and how that works.
The genesis of this idea is that, and this is probably not based on a true story, but this is maybe a little bit of filmmaking or script writing genius. But it's that the idea comes to my character as he is talking about cricket, then watching cricket, bored by cricket.
Come.
And then juxtaposes that with the Susan Boyle moment that we all kind of went through as a world culture, this discovery of this person who, by all accounts, people were like, well, this is going to be a joke, right? This is this old lady that no one thinks can sing, and then she belts out this incredible, beautiful, heartbreaking song, and everyone immediately fell in love with her. So the idea is sort of like finding this talent in the place that you weren't expecting. And that, I think, is, again, Tom McCarthy, who wrote the script, I think it was a nice moment. I never asked JB if that actually happened, but there may be a little timeline fudging with that. But it's a nice way to get across the theme of finding talent in unexpected places.
And there's a big sequence in the movie where you go to India. Obviously, that's where you're going to find your talent. It's not possible to go to India and not understand the power of cricket.
It is.
Has it rubbed off on you?
Well,
I mean,
we were over there during. And I should say at the outset, I am a cricket fan.
Are you?
Yes. So here's why. Not only was I here last summer for the Ashes, and I got to watch that. I was shooting the second series of Young Doctor's Notebook. Dan Radcliffe is a massive cricket fan, so we worked together every day. We would talk about the cricket. I would have like a series of questions because I'm not a very knowledgeable cricket fan, but I am a fan of sport in general and in fact cricket. So not only that, but I was also, when we shot the film, I was over there and the IPL was happening. I think it's called the India Premier League or India Professional League or something. But it's this 2020, I think they call it, this very abbreviated version of cricket that's way easier to understand. That was on prime time every night. So we would wrap, sun would go down, we would wrap because we shot outside, and then I would sit at home or in the bar and watch the cricket. And so, I'm bizarrely, I'm a fan.
Because it's always perceived as a most un-American sport, really. You know, how you can play for 5 days and it then be a draw.
And be a draw. Yeah, we're a little more addicted to timers and scores and winning and losing, I think, over in the States. But I appreciate that. Baseball also happens to be very close to my heart and also doesn't have a clock. So I think there are those two similarities with the game. I like the fact that it takes its time and goes slow, and I really do. I enjoy all aspects of sport, especially I enjoy a draw.
I haven't heard an American ever say that sentence before.
Now you do.
Had you filmed in India before?
No, I'd never been to India. I'd never been to Asia, so it was my first time in that part of the world, and it was. It was breathtaking, honestly. I've described it as an assault on all five senses, in a good way. It was really, really exotic and foreign and everything that you expect it to be. And I only saw a very small part of it. I was in Mumbai and Lucknow and Agra, only 3 cities. And I wish I could have stayed there for 2 more months. I would have loved to have seen the rest of the country.
I think one of the most successful bits in the movie is that sequence when you're going around India, and clearly there was a production decision taken to have the Indian lads that you work with speak in their native Hindi, and instantly you think, okay, this is quite interesting, because I can imagine there would be some people who go, could we get them just to speak English, maybe, or you know what I mean? So that, and I thought that was a big thumbs up for the movie.
Well, it's also, it serves to highlight the fact that language is incredibly difficult. It's an incredibly difficult foreign language. There's, it's not French or Spanish or a Romance language that's sort of, even the alphabet is foreign. So it's a remarkable language. And in fact, my JB, the actual JB, showcasing his sort of commitment to this program that he started, he's done it now going on 8 or 9 years, I think. He's gone back every year to do it again and again, and it's grown exponentially. He learned the language. He's like, it's a part of him now. It's a really cool story, and I desperately tried to learn the language. I have no ear for it. I just could not get it. Like I got namaste. That's about all I took away from Hindi, and because it's just so incredibly foreign. There's no markers that you can, no signposts.
You mentioned Daniel Radcliffe and how you'd worked before, and I heard you on Radio 2 talking with Dan Radcliffe. He's promoting his movie, and
we had Doctor Who, Don Draper, and Harry Potter.
How about that?
Yeah, that's impressive. I got to say, those are 3 pretty cool cool dudes.
And Daniel's been on the show, and we've spoken before about making that decision. You know, what do you do next after a hugely successful franchise? And obviously, he got it very early, and he was 11. But you must have had a similar process going through. What do you do, having been the star of this hugely successful program? What is next?
Honestly, I don't know.
Well, I mean, but did you sit down and discuss it? You just think,
No.
I'll just wait and see what comes along?
No, I don't. I guess I don't have the capacity to sort of think. I just don't operate that way. I just feel like it will be, hopefully there will be other opportunities to do something that I find interesting, artistically challenging, fun, compelling in some way. And I think Dan has done an excellent job in doing that. You know, he's chosen, part of the reason that I thought of him for Young Doctors was I knew that he had this curious streak in him. And he didn't just want to do, I had basically watched him choose after Harry Potter, or during Harry Potter, really, and watched him do Equus on the stage, and watched him do How to Succeed in Business, and watched his sort of, knowing that he doesn't have to do any of that. He could have simply sat home and counted his money. But he chose to do these things that he found challenging. I watched him host Saturday Night Live. You know, I was like, wow, you can do anything. And you're willing and you're game for anything. And so I thought, like, maybe he'll do this. And he said yes. And it was nice.
And it came to him at the age of 11, and it came to you a lot later, which presumably, I mean, do you think I'm going to make up for lost time? Do you think I'm going to pick and choose? Do you think maybe that's the biggest thing I'll ever do? I don't know.
If that's the biggest thing I'll ever do, I'll be okay. Having success late, quote unquote, late in life, comparatively late, is still success, and it still feels good, and the greatest thing that it allows you is the ability to keep working, which is all we all want to do as actors, is just be able to work.
And you produced, again, we're back with Young Doctors on that. Is that something that you'd like to do more of? Is that something you're thinking, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, part of this whole life that we live is coming up with projects and thinking about things to do, and sometimes you're able to use whatever leverage you have to get things made, and sometimes that works, and then they call you a producer, and so that was definitely that was the situation with Young Doctors. I was like, I read the collection of short stories, and I thought it would make an excellent miniseries, kind of a one-off situation, and Sky Arts were happy to give us some money to go make it, and we collected an incredible group of writers and a talented crew and some wonderful actors, Vicky Pepperdine and Rosie Cavalieri and Adam, just fantastic people. And Dan. I mean, my God, we got Dan Radcliffe to be in this.
How about that?
How about that? I was like, oh, he said yes. Like, now we have to go make it.
I just wonder finally if there are some people. I mean, clearly, Mad Men has finished and we've moved on. Except that it hasn't, because we haven't seen how it finishes.
Yes.
So you're promoting something else. We haven't finished with that. You might have finished. That's very nice for you. We haven't.
All in due time.
Okay.
All in due time.
Jon, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed.
It's my pleasure. I'll come back and we'll talk about Mad Men in April.
Excellent. We'll hold you to that.